Chances are good that when you first started playing TFT, you had no idea what you were doing. Between learning the units, synergies, items, positioning, learning how to econ, learning leveling intervals, and the heaps of jargon that exist all around the game, your day one was probably a sprawling, confusing mess. And if you're anything like me, pretty soon you found yourself Googling how to get better at TFT, best comps for TFT, or you went into a streamer's chat to ask them, hey, what items do I put on this unit? Maybe you just watched, listened, learned through observation and osmosis. And chances are pretty good, at some point or another, you wound up consulting a guide to try and take some of the guesswork out of what unit should I play, what items should I make. Guides to TFT are numerous and quite popular. There's no shortage of challenger players out there who cannot wait to tell you what they think the S-tier comps are, what they think the best in slot is for each carry, and when you should be leveling, when you should be rolling to try and get that top 4. You can find guides on standalone websites, Reddit, comp lists linked by top streamers. You may find a site or source that really appeals to you, that you like or trust the most, and some that you doubt or think are behind the meta. You might scour tactics.tools looking to make sense of the increasingly more involved data that is available to you. And if you're anything like me, chances are good you're using these guides all wrong. In this video, I want to take you through how guides are meant to be used, the faults and flaws in following the guides you find out there in the world, and help you start to ask the useful questions that guides often leave unanswered. Looking at guides the right way will not just help you in this set or with your current rank, but will help teach you the fundamentals you need to master, to hit master, to go to masters and beyond. Tip 1. Guides are guides, not rulebooks. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make with guides is following them religiously, using them as hard and fast rulebooks rather than flexible guides that provide direction. I've been guilty of this myself. I have had the little overlay telling me exactly what goes into my comps, what items I need to make, all of that sort of stuff, when I need to level, when I'm supposed to roll. While this information can be useful, it also teaches us a really bad habit: inflexibility. Following a guide to the letter deters us from thinking creatively. It inhibits our ability to see our position relative to the lobby and make correct plays. If you look at the standard Samira comp from set 8, you might see that you need certain early mid-game units on your board, Vi, Alistair, but not know how to connect those pieces with other pieces early on. Though the final board is typically Aegis plus Sure Shot focused, following a guide might not help you see the lines that can lead you to Samira. Duelist, Underground, Laser Core, and even Gadgettine can be strong lines that lead you where you want to go, and only one of those lines uses a single unit that will wind up on your final board. Additionally, following a guide to the letter may keep us from seeing other final boards that might fare better in a given lobby. In addition to the Aegis line, there is a Defender mech variety that is equally viable depending on what other people in the lobby are playing. If the guide you're following doesn't give you that option or help you understand that it is an option and when you might want to use it, you might get frustrated looking for highly contested units like Echo, all the while passing up Garen, Jax, Wukong, or Leona because they don't quote-unquote fit your comp. If you look around the lobby and you see others playing Sure Shots, Duelists, Draven, Aegis is going to be way less useful than playing multiple defenders that provide your entire team with additional protection against that physical type damage. This kind of flexible thinking goes out the window when we follow these pre-made comps by rote, but it can be the difference between a frustrated 6th place and a triumphant top 4 finish. Tip number 2. Best in slot is super fake. If you're watching this video, you've probably watched other TFT content. You've gone and looked for guides, you've watched streamers, and if you've ever been in a streamer's chat, you've almost certainly seen the question, what is the best in slot for Viego? What's BIS for Samira? And you've definitely heard that streamer sigh heavily and rattle off a few good items for these units. You've also probably been in a game and seen a player with 4 or 5 or 6 unused, unfinished item components on their bench. Hell, that person might just be you. Why does this happen? Well, if you're sitting here saying, okay, I'm playing Samira, and you have a bow, a rod, a tier, a cloak, a chain, and a belt, so you look up a guide, or you check tactics.tools, and you see that Last Whisper, Hextech Gunblade, and Giant Slayer are best in slot for Samira. So you go, oh, if only I had a sword this game, or a glove, then I can play. Here's a secret. Most times, the best item for your units is the item that you can make right now, that is going to make your board stronger. In that earlier example, you could save that bow for Last Whisper or Giant Slayer, or you can make Runin's Hurricane right now and be significantly stronger. That leaves Chain, Belt, Tier, and Rod, which could eventually become Sunfire Cape or Redemption, which are both very strong frontline items, leaving the Rod and Tier or Rod and Chain to play around and dramatically increasing the strength of your board. This is called slamming items, and learning when and how to slam good but not great items is a major skill for tacticians who want to climb the competitive ranks. Guides will often provide optimal items for key units, and the components you should get from Carousel to best complete those items. Of course, if you do manage to get these best items, great, but what these guides often don't teach us is what to do when you don't get those best items, which will be the case in most of the games that you play. When we adhere too rigidly to the idea of best in slot and don't make items until we have those best items, we are leaving a lot of strength off our board and not getting value from our components. Runins might not be the best Samira item, and there's an argument to be made to save the bow for Last Whisper because it is really important on her. But when you can make Runin's Hurricane at 2-1, put it on an upgraded AD unit like Kale or Ash, you're getting the additional strength of that completed item for the maximum length of time. A cloak and a bow on your bench provide no value at all, whereas a slammed item early gives maximum value throughout the entire game. You're getting the strength of that item every single round, meaning you're more likely to kill more enemy units, saving you HP and increasing your odds of having a higher placement. When we don't slam items and we save for that best in slot, that's called greeding, and it is sometimes worthwhile early on. You don't have any good items to slam, you don't really have upgrades to your board, and now you're planning on loss streaking through stage 2. You're going to have carousel priority, and you don't necessarily want to play the strongest board that you can in that situation. Knowing when this applies and when it doesn't is also a valuable skill, and it can't be taught by a guide. It requires our critical and creative thinking skills to identify what is best for us in the moment. The right question isn't usually, what's the best in slot for my carry at 4-1? But rather, what's the best decision that I can make with my items right now, so I can maximize value, save HP, and not be playing behind the tempo of the lobby by the time you get to 4-1. If you like this video, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel. If there's something that you think could be added to this conversation, make sure you drop it in the comments below. I'll be coming soon with more tips for these guides and how to use them better. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll see you in the next video.